The universe isn't just out there, it's interacting with you. Claim your power by embracing the unknown. This is Tracy with Tracy Talks, and I'm here to ignite your curiosity. Don't just listen, embrace it. Hey, this is Tracy with Tracy Talks. Welcome. As I was meditating today, this process of my spiritual journey kind of came into my being. And when I look back at my process of this transition and growth, I can almost describe it as going from chaos to calm. Now, when I look back to that period in my life, I certainly didn't feel chaotic. I didn't feel like I was just acting on impulse and reacting on impulse. But now that I have made my way down this path and I have grounded into who I am, I realize now that a lot of what I was doing when I was younger was creating through chaos. I didn't have a rhythm. I didn't have a plan. I was just trying to figure life out, and I was bouncing around and I was trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted. There was no rhyme or reason. There was no intention setting. There was no preparation for a lot of where I ended up landing. And I'm sure at some level there is some divine path, and I understand that, but I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware that I had a big purpose, that I was looking for it. I was just looking for something in the moment. But now when I look back, it was just like, that was just out of chaos. And the things that did work out were probably a little bit more towards luck than they were creating with intention. And as I look back, especially with the relationships in my life, those were probably not my best choices. But again, I learned a lot. But I think it's fair to say that those relationships were created from a state of chaos. And these people that were coming into my life matched my energy at that time. They matched that same vibration. They matched that same state of, well, let's hope this works out. When people look at relationships in their life, there's a lot of this holding on, not wanting something to end. And I've had to realize that those relationships that were created when I was in that moment of chaos, they couldn't grow with me. They couldn't change with me. Their energy was matching mine. And that's kind of what brought us together. It's like that magnetic attraction. Ooh, I know what that energy feels like. And then for whatever reason, one of us or both of us, we started to change. We started to feel differently. And then we no longer matched up energetically. And that's one of the hardest things that I think we have to go through here, is realizing that people don't walk the whole path with us. They only show up for the intermission, or they only show up for the pregame. Sometimes it's this small little moment in time. We learn what we're supposed to learn. And then somehow we realize that, you know what? I need to move on down my path. And I have to do it alone. Part of this process of going from chaos to calm is accepting the very real truth that not everybody is meant to be in our life forever. Not every job is meant to be our forever job. Not every home is meant to be our forever home. And I know as a woman and talking to friends, there is oftentimes this relationship that we had in the past, and we always think about, well, could it have been different, and could it have worked out? If we had just done something a little bit different, could we still be together? And, is this the one that got away? And then I had this moment today where this insight came to me, and it was like, no, because you were a different person. You were in that chaos state. That person was attracted to a different version of you. And I don't want to go back to that chaotic state. I don't want to go back to that moment where I'm still trying to figure out every single thing that I want to do and who am I and who am I really and what's happening and where do I want to go. This calm state that I have reached is so much better than any other spot on the journey. I'm sure these people from our past have changed as well. I mean, hopefully they're not still in that state of chaos, even though social media shows that some of them still are. Some of them are still getting their punches on the punch card of spiritual lessons. It's hard not to miss this life that we used to have. It's hard to, it's easy to want to think that we can go back to that moment, that we can recreate that moment, that feeling. And sometimes I see it too when people get back together. They've been separated for some time and they get back together and it's like, I hope it works out for you, but there were valid reasons why you broke up. And are you taking a step back into that chaos again just to be in a relationship? I don't want to give up my calm ever again. And I know so many of us who have done the work feel that very exact thing. And there's times where I am in this little cocoon of mine and I am intentional and thoughtful with where I put my energy and what I'm focusing on now. I had lunch with a friend last week. And I hadn't seen this friend for, over a year. And we were just catching up, talking about things. What are you doing? I'm doing this. What are you, what's going on? Why are you in the area? And this person is going through a difficult time. And it's interesting when you, as somebody who has gone through a divorce, and I'm over it. I don't, live in that world anymore. I don't live in that pain. I don't live in that anger, that resentment. There's moments, but I don't stay there. But certainly when I hear somebody else just entering into that process, because it's a process. Unfortunately, it's not just this little moment. It's a lot of work to go through separating your life from somebody. And I almost was transported back to that time when I was going through it, because it's very real. It's still there. I still have the memories. I remember how hard it was. And my heart went out to this friend because, I don't want to scare anybody, but I want to be realistic. I want to give some advice from my perspective of what I went through and how can you protect yourself and how can you make sure that you are taking care of yourself, because everything on paper looks easy and there's nothing easy about some of these things that we have to go through in life. I also can affirm that this process from chaos to calm, I know it was my path. It was what I had to do. Sure, I would pick an easier path if I had to. If I could, I would have. But in those moments where I, need a little bit of reassurance, like having lunch with my friend is like, wow, I have done the work. I need to celebrate that. We all need to celebrate how far we've come, getting to the other side, making progress, even if it's just a step or two. And remember, when we have these moments where we think about, what, I just want to stay in this relationship, or I just want to go back to this person, that there is two different lives out there. There is a life of chaos and there is a life of calm. And there is a noticeable difference. And when you talk to people who have made it on the other side, it's worth it. It's not easy. It takes dedication. It takes commitment. It takes the love of self. And then when my mind wanders back and it's like, oh, could that one person have worked out? No. Because I, right now, am very different than the person I was when I got together with them. And while I love so many parts of her, she wasn't finished doing the work. She didn't make it all the way to the calm. And I'm grateful and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for those people who came into my life, helped me on the journey, just as I'm sure I probably helped them on their journey. I'm trying not to get any more spiritual punch cards. I'm trying to not have any more big lessons, but they still show up knocking. And those are the moments where you're like, nope, thank you, but no thanks. I was reminded too, as this is a full moon, and this is the full moon in Leo time. And the similar symbols of chaos to calm, the cycle of dark to light. The chaos part can be described as the dark of the moon, when you can't see what's going on and you don't know what's happening and you're just trying to feel your way through a time when you don't have all of the answers. And this calm period now that I feel like I'm in is the full moon period. It's the time when I look outside and I can see off into the distance. I can see what is going on and what is happening. And we live in this cycle. We live in this continuous cycle of not having all of the answers to having the answers, of being in the dark and then being in the light and being in chaos and then going to calm. And I can be in a state of chaos, but I don't want to live there anymore. I want to transition to that peaceful, calm state. If you've never been in a continuous calm state, I hope you find a way to create it, because I wouldn't give this up for anything. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tracy Talks. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. Friends can find Tracy Talks available on iTunes, Spotify, Substack, and YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram and Facebook at More Tracy Talks. And until next time, we meet again.